Welcome to this moment. For the next 7 minutes, there is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do, and no one else you need to please. Take a deep, steady breath in and let it go.
I have a feeling there are a few thousand under the sound of my voice today who need to hear the voice of the Lord in this season of your life, because this is a pivotal moment for you. I'd like to remind you something about pivotal moments in each of our lives. They're not big, but they make all the difference. To illustrate, I want y'all to zoom out with the camera and just show how quickly I can pivot almost where you didn't notice. And I've used this to illustrate before, both in leadership and in life, how sometimes you can make a small adjustment, but if I were to make this small adjustment in my stance through pivoting on my back foot and to walk that way, the number of steps that I took would multiply the importance of the decision that I made to pivot. What I mean is, it doesn't make much difference as long as I'm up here. But the longer I walked in that direction, I would end up in such a different destination, all because of a pivot. My oldest son, Elijah, my middle son, Graham, my youngest, Abby, are all here today with us. We're all happy. We're all happy because Elijah is home from college for a minute. We're happy because Abby stays happy. We're happy because Graham is on the second row with his buddies who are back-to-back state champions in the sport of wrestling as of yesterday. He asked for that shout out, and I did it. And my oldest son, Elijah, was asking me recently about someone that he follows on social media. It's not a very big personality, so don't try to guess who I'm talking about. But the person is minor league famous, and they made a big statement or commitment to Jesus Christ, and then they went back on it. And they went back on it after about 2 years of being very extreme. And the person was a very worldly personality, and then they became a very godly personality. And when I say godly, I don't mean like you're supposed to be, where you're receiving the grace of God and growing in the grace of God. They were telling everybody why they were better than everybody else for those 2 years. And the moment I saw them begin to boisterously declare and boldly infer and proclaim that they would never sin in these ways like other people do ever again, and they would never struggle with what other people struggle with again, I told my son Elijah, watch out for the big swings. Because anytime you see something swing that far this way, guess what? Newton doesn't have to be here to tell us. It's got to come back. Be careful for the big swings. And I began to tell him that even though it's sad that this person was in the faith and now publicly says, I reject the faith, even though they said that, that doesn't mean that the faith that you have is invalid. It just means that you need to think steps, not swings. Think steps, not swings. And sometimes when it comes to hearing God's voice and knowing God's voice, you'll see people who they swing really hard and really far. God spoke to me and I'm never gonna wear pink again. Why are you never gonna wear pink again? Because the Lord told me that purple is the color of royalty. It's like, this is a little extreme for you to be eliminating colors from your wardrobes. God spoke to me and I'm never again, I'm not gonna drink out of any plastic bottles. I'm gonna take communion every morning at 4, but I'm gonna do it at 4 a.m. I'm gonna work out at 3 a.m. and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna pray at 2 a.m. Then I'm gonna read my Bible at 3, and then I'm gonna take communion at 4, but I'm not gonna take it out of a plastic cup because that's bad for the environment. And I'm not gonna wear pink, I'm gonna wear purple because it's the color of royalty. And when I see somebody swinging that hard in anything, a diet or discipleship, it scares me a little bit. Sometimes I think that a step is better than a swing. Don't get me wrong, dramatic decisions happen in the presence of God. These moments where we say, I'm leaving Egypt. These moments where we say, I'm no longer going to live in this compromise. Those moments where we say, I'm stepping into this with my whole heart. Those moments where we say, I'm burning the bridges behind me because I can't keep playing with this. Those moments are important. But think steps, not swings. Think pivots. Those little moves in your life that can lead to great purpose. I try to build my 10 minutes of my sermon that I start with well enough that if you had to leave, you would have already gotten something worth coming out in the rain for. And I think you just got it. And yet we haven't even touched this text. The tension in this text is difficult for me to communicate to you through just reading the 4 verses that I selected. This moment in Jesus' life is pivotal. He's going to the cross. It's the Thursday before the Friday where he will die. And as such, he's preparing, hold that word, he's preparing his disciples for what they will face. And yet, there's really no way to prepare them for the loss of his physical presence. There's really no way for him to prepare them for the pressure of watching him die like a criminal. There's really no way to prepare them for the soul searching that will happen when they watch him laid in Joseph of Arimathea's grave. There's really no preparing them for this. And so he has a meal with them, the Passover meal. It was a Jewish tradition, but Jesus was using it for a different purpose. And as he gets ready to serve the bread, he breaks it at the table. And as he gets ready to serve the wine, he pours it. And he says, this is symbolic of what you're about to watch happen. He's preparing them. As he pours the wine, he says, this is my blood poured out for you, the blood of my covenant. As he breaks the bread, he says, this is my body broken for you. And he feeds them. And for a moment, if you were just to look in on this scene without any knowledge of the background or without any knowledge of what's coming next, you would think this is a very happy moment, because the Bible says that Jesus looked at his disciples during this and said, I've been looking forward to sharing this meal with you. In fact, he says, I've eagerly anticipated sharing this meal with you. I have eagerly longed for this moment with you. And there at the table, the Bible says that Jesus and his disciples reclined. So if we were to just walk in and watch the scene cut out of sequence on mute, we would think this was a family meal. But it's now commonly known as the Last Supper, because it's the last time that they'll eat with him like this. And think about everything that's happening at the table. Jesus is sharing with them that he's about to suffer. So now put the two together. Supper and suffering, all at the same table. Jesus and Judas, all at the same table. The bread and the breaking, all at the same table. The wine and the pouring, all at the same table. And on one hand, this is a happy moment for Jesus. I've looked forward to sharing this with you. I've looked forward to this moment. I came for this moment. This is the moment I was sent. Because as they're preparing to eat the Passover lamb, he is what they're about to eat. He is the Lamb of God, slain from the foundations of the world. He was prepared for this. They weren't. He was looking forward to this, but they could not know to anticipate it. Even if mentally they understood it, emotionally they couldn't comprehend it. So it's a happy moment, but it's a heavy moment. And isn't it crazy how a lot of times the heaviest moments and the happiest moments are happening all at the same table? If there's one thing I could get across to you about life as a follower of Christ, is that you would not be surprised to find that sometimes the happiest times and the heaviest times happen at the same time. See, it's not like we just have happy seasons and heavy seasons. It might be a season for you where you're sitting at a table, surrounded by all of the things that you love, carrying all of the things that you must endure. There are times in all of our lives, especially as grown-ups, where we have to learn to take the happiness and the heaviness in the same hour. The happiness and the heaviness in the same seat. Everybody in this room, everybody watching me online has something to be happy about and something to be heavy about. And the thing about prayer, I told you I'm going to talk to you about prayer today, is that it helps me not to let the happiness hide itself behind the heaviness. So it means that I can carry heavy situations in my heart and still find happiness in Jesus, because I prayed my way through the heaviness to the point that I realized he's in the heaviness and he's in the happiness. In fact, if I could take it one step further, let me tell you why I love Jesus. He is my happiness in my heaviness. He is the one that is seated at the table, and even while the bread is breaking, I know it's in his hands. So that's why I lift my hands, because I know my life is in his hands. Happiness and heaviness, all at the same table. Don't you see it in your life? Aren't you a witness of it today? You got that one thing in your life that you're happy about and proud of, and that one thing in your life that you don't really want to talk about. That one thing in your life that you're right now hoping I don't mention it. That right now, if I started listing stuff, you would hope that I would skip the thing on the list. I mean, I just got done with Valentine's Day. So there's a lot of people who come to church on the Sunday after Valentine's Day just kind of bracing for a fight. Thinking about, oh God, if he talks about one more time that God is preparing somebody for you, and God is preparing you for somebody, and God's going to send the right person when you're ready, and touch 3 people and say, get ready. And if you make me touch anybody today, they better be my husband in about 6 months, because I can't take one more sermon while you talk about that thing in my life. But yet there's a married person going, I hope he doesn't talk about how to get along in the house, because watch this. And now I'm going to shift on you. She's not even here with me today. We're not even speaking right now. And that doesn't mean that you're not happy anywhere in your life. Just because you're heavy somewhere doesn't mean you're not happy anywhere. And just because you're happy somewhere doesn't mean you're not heavy anywhere. I wonder if he gives me that for a balance. I wonder if the happy things are to lift me up so I don't quit, and the heavy things are to keep me grounded so I don't get prideful. And I just wish for you today, knowing that happiness and heaviness always come in pairs. Walk in Nordstrom and ask them to sell you one shoe for the price of half. See if they'll do it. See if they'll sell you one shoe. Now, I don't really want the left one. I just want the right one. They're going to say, sir, they come in a pair. You got to buy them both. And when it comes to your calling and your relationship with God, you don't get to pick the right one and leave the left one and pay half price. The happiness and the heaviness go hand in hand. And this will help you to understand why sometimes you're having a great moment, but somewhere in that moment, you still feel kind of down. And then you think, well, I'm not grateful. No, it's not that you're not grateful. You're just grown up. And to be grown up is to take responsibility. And to take responsibility is to be like Jesus, and to sit at a table knowing that John, who loves you, and Judas, who will betray you, are both close enough to touch at the same table. To sit at the table and to know that my desire for freedom and my struggle with the addiction are at the same table. To sit at the table and to feast on Jesus, knowing that my hope for my future and my regret about the past are sitting at the same table. To know that my excitement about what God is calling me to do and my fear about whether I'm going to be able to do it are sitting at the same table. Who am I talking to? Come on, let's have a little table talk today. Because into this context, Jesus speaks, Simon, Simon. And he says his name twice. Now, we'll do a little quiz, okay? And I'll let all those online play along. There are 7 times in the Bible that God or Jesus, and Jesus is God, but I'm saying Old Testament, where God speaks in different ways, or in the New Testament, where Jesus would just lean over and tell you because he's physically present. There are 7 times, and this is one of them, where someone is called by their name, but they're called twice. Now, first of all, put your name in the comments real quick and put it twice, all right? And say your name out loud in the room and say it twice. Chris. Say your name out loud and say it twice. Brad. Say your first name and middle name like you're in trouble. Like your mama's got a switch. Your mama didn't break off a switch. If your mom didn't break off a switch, that was child abuse. You need a switch sometimes. We need to get back to these switches. I can say nothing else about it. Touch your neighbor, say, get back to the switches. That meant nothing. I'm gonna see on the comments, can you guess one of the others? I'm on YouTube right now live, and if you're watching later, don't Google it. Do not chat GPT it. If you chat GPT my sermon question, you goes to HELL. This is not an open book test. Just guess. I won't make fun of you if you get it wrong. That's right, Saul. Not just Saul. What is Saul doing that's so important that he has to get named twice, called by Saul, not just Saul. He's riding on his horse, going to persecute Christians, and Jesus is about to turn him into Paul. You ever heard of Paul? You ever heard of Philippians 4:13? Paul, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, before he was Paul, y'all, he was Saul. Saul. He called his name to get his attention. He knocked him off his horse to get his attention. He blinded him with a light to get his attention. He restored his sight and gave him a vision. And the gospel came to the Gentiles because it was a pivotal moment. Saul. Put it in the chat. Saul. What else y'all got? While y'all are guessing, touch your neighbor, say, better call Saul. What else you got? Guns N' Roses. Oh, Moses. I'm worldly, pray for me. Moses, that's right. Take off your shoes, Moses, because you're about to pivot. Take off your shoes, Moses, because the place you stand is holy. This is a pivotal moment, Moses. This is a personal moment, Moses. When God calls your name once, that's personal. When he calls your name twice, that's pivotal. When he calls your name once, it's powerful. When he calls your name twice, it's a pattern. There are some of you under the sound of my voice, and God is trying to get your attention. He is repeating patterns in your life. And it's not just that you keep seeing Range Rovers on the road so you think you need to buy one. It's deeper than that. God keeps sending you the same message different ways. Saul, Moses. Have you got another one? Samuel. That's my favorite of them because this is when he was learning to hear God's voice and he was a little boy. And some of you, since you've been a child, God has been calling you. And he keeps calling you. And some of you, you even spent half of your adult life running from the God that was calling you when you were a little kid. And he kept calling. And he kept calling. And he kept calling Samuel, Samuel. He had to come back to him and say it again because the first time he thought it was the voice of his mentor Eli. So he said it again. Samuel, Samuel. Y'all got another one? Martha, Martha. Martha, Martha. I didn't think anybody would get that. Did you get that, Nicole? Nicole. Martha, Martha. Luke chapter 10. Talking about Martha, Martha, you're worried and distracted. You keep trying to do dishes while your sister Mary is having a devotion. Martha, Martha. I know why he said her name twice, because she wasn't listening the first time. She was too busy running the vacuum cleaner. Martha, 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 middle name. I want to spend time with you. I want to be with you. I don't want you to just run around so consumed by what you can do for me. So I'm going to say your name twice because I'm more concerned about your person than your plans. What's another one? Well, that one doesn't count. I guess that makes 8. My God, my God. But it's technically true because when Jesus was on the cross, he was God. So God said to God, my God, my God. Time to hear that one. Is that Orangeburg in the house? Is Orangeburg in the house? Orangeburg. I got so much family in Orangeburg. I do. The one I really struggle with is Abraham. Because that's where God called Abraham and said, go to the place I will show you. And then when Abraham set out, he didn't give him the exact GPS pin. You know how sometimes you just feel like you're taking a step? Not a swing, just a step. And when he called him Abraham, but then he called him to do something very difficult. Now, sometimes in your life, God will call you to give up something you love. God will call you to give up something that you love. Usually when we come to God in prayer, we ask him to take away the things that we don't like anyway. See, prayer is 2 ways. It's not just me talking to God. It's me listening. When I was taught to pray, I was mostly taught to pray a prayer list. So I start naming all the things that I want God to do. Like I'm giving him his checklist for the day. And the date I need him to do it by. But prayer is not just listing. It's listening. It's listening. And sometimes what God says is hard to hear when he said, Abraham. Now, in this specific case, God had called Abraham to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, that he waited 25 years for. He tied him down and he was going to plunge the knife in obedience to God. And just as the knife was raised, there was a pause that led to provision. And God said, don't lay a hand on the boy. There's a ram in the bush. You passed the test. I didn't want you to kill your son. I wanted you to trust me. And he sacrificed the ram instead. And at that pivotal moment, just before Abraham was about to do it, God said, Abraham. And he called it twice.